Alright, we are now looking at the base pad, which once again is another isometric drawing. And the first thing that we're going to look for is to draw this bottom base piece, which is this bottom piece down here. Once we draw this bottom brick, we will place this rectangle here on top of it. So the overall size of this piece is 5 1/4 by 2 1/4 by 3/4 big. So when we go to our paper, again, we are using our 30-degree triangle. We're going to go, just pick a spot on your paper, really. And go, we're going to make the X, Y, Z axis here. Again, we're going straight up in the air at 3/4. We're going to go to the right 2 1/4. We're going to go back at 5 1/4. And the best part about this is at this point we've got all the measurements marked. All I got to do now is really run my lines and connect them. I know it's a 30-degree angle back, and I know that this one's going to be straight up. I know that this one's going to be straight up. And when I flip my triangle around, I know this one's going to be over to it. So now I just made my overall brick. I do got to finish the brick out. And how to finish that brick out, again, I don't have to do any more measurements. All I'm going to do is connect the two. So I'm going to draw a line this way, flip the triangle around, and get there. So that is now my 5 1/4 by 2 1/4 by 3/4 tall brick. Now when we look at the piece, we've got to get this part on top of there. So this part on top of the piece is 3 1/4 by 1 1/4 big. So I want to get this rectangle here basically squared up or centered up on my block first. So if we go 5 1/4 minus 3 1/4 leaves 2 1/4. Actually, I take that back. 5 1/4 minus 3 1/4 leaves 2, which means this is 1 inch and this is 1 inch. We've got 2 1/4 minus 1 1/4 is 1, which means this is a half and this is a half. So how do I translate that over down to my paper? I'm going to measure in a half, measure in a half, measure back at 1, and measure in at 1. And again, everything's going to be at a 30-degree angle here. These are my ½ inch lines over. If I flip it around, I'm using my 1 inch line there to go up. So I just now centered my block on top of the part. But now I need to know how tall this piece goes. So if I look back at the computer, it says that I've got 1 3/8 tall minus 3/4. So I've got 1 3/8 minus 3/4. You're going to have 3/8 plus another 2/8 is 5/8 tall. So this piece here is 5/8 up. So that means each one of these corners is going to be 5/8 in the air. I bet that's pretty close. Yep. And if I just connect the lines over and around and up, notice I'm not hardly having to measure anything at all. Now I just got to erase out what I don't see, which that block is being covered. Really the overall original block that I drew, you don't really see. And I can darken it up a little bit, but overall that is the base pad. Base pad is now finished.